How's it going, everyone? And we are live. How's it going? This is a different kind of video than normal. We are doing a celebratory Q&A for reaching 200,000 subscribers. I hit it about, I don't know, a few weeks ago, maybe like a month ago. And I wanted to do like a live Q&A, but I've just been busy, had a lot of things that have been coming up. So I thought this would be a perfect opportunity live on a Saturday during college football to do a live Q&A where essentially I don't know, this could be 15 minutes long, this could be 30 minutes long, it could be an hour long, however long it's going to be, pretty much answering your guys' questions. Now, any question is essentially welcome. You guys can ask me questions about college football. You guys can ask me questions about the NFL, about YouTube, about anything, about my favorite movie, about where I like to go eat. Any questions are up for grabs. I'll be answering as many as I possibly can. So if you guys have any good questions, hit me up with them. Let me know. Leave them in the live chat. A lot of fun. We have a lot going on. I have a few things to get to and before we start. So again, if you haven't already, make sure to go follow our podcast at the HH Show _. We're actually going to be posting something later today. That's going to be a lot of fun. If you follow us on Twitter, if you listened to our show last week, we're going to be posting tonight. I think it's going to be 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. It's going to be set as a premiere. We're going to be posting a NCAA 14 gameplay featuring Ohio State and Oregon. So if you like college football, if you like NCAA 14, tune in tonight. We're going to be premiering that at, I think, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. So follow us on Twitter for all the updates in regards to over there. So yeah, guys, again, I'm going to be answering your guys' questions. There's going to be a lot of questions. If you have a question that you absolutely want to have, guaranteed answered, you guys can donate in the super chat. Again, it could be $1, it could be $2. It helps the channel, really helps me continue this on the week-to-week basis. And that way, again, it goes to help the channel. So if you have any questions, I'm going to be answering as many as I can. But if you have one that you absolutely want to have answered, if you just need an answer it for whatever reason, go on there and you can help out in the super chat below. So let's get to some of these questions. Let's see what we got. We got a lot coming in. First one comes in. Do you like tacos? I didn't think that'd be the first question that would come in, but yes, I do like tacos. I prefer street tacos though. Street tacos over like regular hard shell tacos. If you're gonna have a taco, gotta have a street taco. So we got my guy right here, Connor. You're the man. For you guys that watch our show every week, Connor is always very generous. And congrats, Blake. What is the most disappointing loss where you thought your team was guaranteed to win? 2005 national championship is not allowed. So yeah, that's a great question. Obviously the 2005 national championship with USC and Texas, I thought SC was going to win because up until that point, I didn't really know what a USC loss was. What is the most disappointed where you thought your team seemed guaranteed to win? There's definitely a lot of USC ones over the years. Like I'm thinking that USC Boston College game from 10 years ago where they were on the road to Boston College. They got upset there. USC, I mean, USC's had a lot. I mean, especially after the Pete Carroll era, they had a lot of losses where they definitely should have won and they didn't. But I'm trying to think of more recently with ASU. It's tough because over the years for Arizona State, they've had so many games. I've said this, I think, on previous podcasts that Arizona State, they're like the best, worst team essentially out there where they'll win the games you don't expect them to win and they'll lose the games you expect them to win. So disappointing loss where I thought they were guaranteed to win. I can't remember a specific one. As you know, USC is the easy one, and the one that stood out to me was the Boston College one from like 10 years ago. But in regards to ASU, they've had so many over the years where, again, they definitely should have won, but they didn't. So hopefully that answered your question, Connor. It's one of those tough ones where I'm sure if I had like 20, 30 minutes to think about it, I would come up with a lot of great answers. So maybe I'll think of something and I'll DM you on Twitter and I'll let you know what my true answer is. So I'm going to go with that USC Boston College one from, I think, like 10 years ago or whenever it was. What do you think about Iowa State and Kansas State losing today? Well, the Kansas State one, I mean, Arkansas State, they're no slouch of a team. They're pretty decent. I think I had Kansas State ranked like near the bottom in regards to my Big 12 rankings. I wasn't sold on Kansas State this year. I didn't think they'd be that good. I think I had them projected for maybe 2, maybe 3 wins. If that's, I'm not entirely shocked. The Iowa State one, that one is shocking because I think the final score was Louisiana 31-14. So not only did Iowa State lose to Louisiana, they lost by 17 at home. Brock Purdy, I've been high on him all year. I thought he's the second best quarterback, in the Big 12. I think he had potential Heisman. He was a Heisman sleeper. And the fact that they came out and they lost by 17 to Louisiana, that's shocking to me because, again, Kansas State, they lost at the very end to Arkansas State, who I think is a pretty decent team. Louisiana, I mean, they've had some good wins over the years, but, they're not necessarily a powerhouse. So I am shocked by that Iowa State loss. I am shocked. By 17. Brock Purdy looked awful. I don't have what his stat line was, but I checked like in the fourth quarter. I think he had like 150 passing yards. And I don't think one game is necessarily going to hurt Brock Purdy's draft stock because I think he has a chance to be maybe a mid to late first rounder in the upcoming NFL draft. But week 1 at home against Louisiana, that's not a good look. I think Iowa State, again, maybe it's the first week. Maybe there's, some things they got to work on. There's a lot of question marks, but I think Iowa State could be potentially in trouble this year in the Big 12. Again, I understand losing maybe by a field goal, maybe losing by at the end, but they were Louisiana was the better team all game, and they earned that win. So I'm very shocked by the Iowa State loss. Kansas State, again, not so much, just because I wasn't necessarily really that high on them coming into the year. How do you think West Virginia is going to do? Again, sticking on the topic of Big 12 schools, I don't think West Virginia is going to be that good in 2020. I wish I should have gotten my projections up so that way I can see what I had them. But I talked about Kansas State not having that many wins. I don't think I had West Virginia for that many wins either. I don't know who I had worse, but West Virginia, I don't think they're going to be good this year. I think they're going to finish below 500. So we'll have to wait and see. And also to stay safe. So yeah, for those of you that don't know, I talked about this on my last podcast. I'm currently in the section in Los Angeles about there's a massive fire. The air quality is really bad. You guys can't see, but it's really dark outside. You can't really breathe out there. It's really bad. So hopefully I don't have to be evacuated because, again, these fires have been pretty severe. So again, but thanks to everyone who has been asking how I'm doing. Doing fine for right now, again, but hopefully you don't have to be evacuated. Michael, are you watching college football right now? Right now I'm not. I got the TV turned off. I could put a game on right now to see what's going on there, but doing the Q&A right now. But I have been watching college football all morning, and we got some good games. I don't have it right now, but if anyone could let me know what the Duke Notre Dame score is, because I think that's probably the best game on right now. Let me know what the Duke Notre Dame score is so I can see. Last time I checked, Duke was up 3-0, so potentially another upset we got this morning. Joseph McClain, who are your predictions for the playoffs this year? Yeah, so I talked about this on the podcast last week. I posted it on Twitter. So again, if you haven't already, follow the show on Twitter at the @HHShow_. But I have Alabama, Clemson. I think those two are guaranteed. I think those are going to be the two teams that we see. I think that's going to be our championship game. And I don't know who I have coming out on top yet. So I can't give you a championship prediction, but I do have Alabama, Clemson, and the Natty. I got Florida. And I have Texas rounding out my playoff teams. I think they're the best team in the Big 12 this year. I like them over Oklahoma. Now, Spencer Rattler can come out and he can impress. He can look fantastic this year, but I'm going to go with Sam Ehlinger. He has experience, and I think he's a really underrated quarterback. So I got Texas, and I like Florida. I like Florida being the second team out of the SEC. I do think they're better than Georgia, so I think they're going to beat Georgia during the regular season. Can they beat Alabama in the SEC championship? I'm not exactly sure, but I'm expecting a huge season from Florida this year. I like Kyle Trask a lot. He's a Heisman sleeper for me. So, so I got Alabama, Clemson, Texas, and Florida. That's my That's my playoff as of right now. So again, if you guys are just joining right now, I'm going to be answering your guys' questions for the next 30 minutes, the next hour or so, however long it's going to be. Got a lot of questions coming in. So if you'd like to have your question answered by me, guarantee your question answered, you guys can donate to the super chat. Again, it could be $1, it could be $2, it could be anything. It really helps the channel. It really supports the channel because, YouTube's not a full-time job. So I do this in my spare time. So I really appreciate it. And again, if you have a question that just needs to be answered, that way it shows up in a bright color and I'm able to see it. So all the information's in the bottom down there. Dash TV, how do you feel about BYU after they destroyed Navy? I feel like I've been pitching this a lot. I feel like I've been saying you need to watch my podcast, which you do. If you haven't watched the podcast, you definitely need to check it out. It's a great college football podcast. But someone asked us in the Q&A this past week, can BYU go undefeated? And I was kind of like, jokingly like, okay, yeah, BYU can go undefeated. Looking at BYU's schedule the rest of the way, first off, I'll talk about their thing against Navy. That was shocking. I mean, I think the spread in the game was what? BYU by 2 points and they win by like 50. So I was shocked by that. BYU looked fantastic, but I guess there was a thing that Navy wasn't even practicing tackling up to that point. Like they hadn't even been working on their tackles. So not shocked based on that outcome, but BYU, I mean, looking at the schedule, they have Army next week. Then they got Troy, UTSA, Houston, Texas State, Western Kentucky, North Alabama. If that's the BYU team we're going to be seeing on a week-to-week basis or what they did against Navy, I'm not saying BYU is going to be making the playoff, but in a year like this, I think BYU looked impressive. BYU is always one of those teams where they're capable of winning like 9 to 10 games on any given year, but there's always those random games that they lose for whatever reason. So, hey, if BYU, again, they looked great against Navy, not exactly sure how ready Navy was, but I think that BYU can potentially do damage this year in college football. I saw some tweet where it was like, oh, because I think BYU only plays 8 games. BYU is going to go 8-0, and Notre Dame, who's going to have 1 loss, is going to be upset that BYU, a team not in a conference, is going to be getting playoff discussions. Whereas Notre Dame, they're in a conference, but because they have 1 loss, they're not getting any discussion right there. So I thought that was kind of funny. Lucas McKnight, thoughts on my last second Sammy Watkins pickup? For those of you that don't know, we have a fantasy league going on with all of our Patreon members. Which, by the way, if you guys want to help support the show, if you guys want to help the channel out and, receive some awesome benefits, I have a Patreon page set up where there's a lot of great benefits. Again, you can choose my next video. You guys can have a one-on-one Zoom call with me. All that information is in the description below, or you can go to patreon.com/Harris Highlights. We have a fantasy league with our Patreon supporters. And I guess Lucas went over, he picked up Sammy Watkins, I guess, before the Thursday night matchup. And Sammy Watkins finished with like 25 points. He had like 8 catches, 80 yards, a touchdown, something like that. So a great pick by Lucas, Sammy Watkins, which shouldn't be shocking considering Sammy Watkins had a great week 1 last year. But Lucas, if I'm you, I'm not going to be starting Sammy Watkins the rest of the year. I think he's a 1-week wonder. But hey, if Sammy Watkins is able to win you the fantasy league, major props to you. That just goes to show how crazy 2020 is. What is the hardest hit you've seen live? Back in 2007, I saw a Maryland cornerback lay out Javid Best so hard he threw up on the field. Ooh, that's when I saw Javid Best, I was thinking, man, was it the Javid Best game when he flew in the air and broke every bone in his body? Hardest hit I've seen live. I don't remember. I can't remember what game it was. I can't remember who it was against. Arizona State, there was some game, I want to say my sophomore or junior year, so 2 or 3 years ago, I was in the front row of the student section, and this happened on about the 10-yard line right in front of us, so we were close to it. And I can't remember who we were playing, but the wide receiver caught the ball, and he just got annihilated. He got obliterated. Again, I don't remember who it was against, when it was, but I remember seeing that and we were all going like, wow. And it's because we were, since it was on about the 10, 15-yard line, we were maybe 25, 30 yards from it, and we could hear the hit. Like we heard the hit from, 30 yards out. So that was an insane hit. That was fantastic. So again, this is one of those things, Connor, where I seriously need to spend 30 minutes just trying to jot these things down so I can remember it. Because I'm sure if I went back and looked at the schedule, I'd be able to tell you what game it was. Thanks for the Raging Cajuns, love. You guys are welcome. Louisiana. Hey, maybe the Raging Cajuns can make a post or make a push for the college football playoff this year. Stranger things have happened. We got one from Dennis right now. How do you think Oregon is going to do in the spring? I mean, I've said this, for the last few weeks. I'm not a fan of the spring football. I'm just not. It's going to be interesting to see. Oregon, they lost Penny Sewell. I'm not sure by the spring if they're going to lose other players. I mean, I think Oregon, I've said this also. I think they're the best team in the Pac-12 this year. No questions asked. I thought they had a chance to beat Ohio State, beat North Dakota State. I thought they would have been a playoff. Had Oregon been playing in the fall, let me put my chair up. I would have had Oregon as one of my 4 playoff teams. So I think Oregon's going to be fine. I think they're going to do well. It's just a matter of how many players are going to be sitting out. And again, is there going to be football in the spring? I'm not exactly certain, but if there is, if they're just playing, Pac-12 teams, I think Oregon's going to be fine. I think what they're playing a 10-game schedule, unless there's a slip up. I can't remember if they're playing USC in their updated schedule or not. If they're playing USC, they might lose to SC. I think SC is probably the second best team, and I know Oregon also plays ASU, so that's going to be a tough matchup. But I think Oregon, at the worst, they lose one game, but I currently got them going undefeated. Do you have any siblings? No. I am an only child. I am currently an only child, which is awesome. It's got its pros and cons, but yeah, only child on my end. So there you go. No siblings for me. Notre Dame's up 7-6. So that could be interesting. I think Notre Dame's an upset watch. I think Duke has a chance to really get the job done. Who is your sleeper team this year? Well, I'll be honest with you. Iowa State was my sleeper team coming into this week, but not anymore. Iowa State is no longer my sleeper team because I think they're definitely going to lose 1 or 2 more games. I like Oklahoma State. I think Oklahoma State is a sleeper team. I'm not going to say they're better than Texas or Oklahoma, but the trio they have, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, I think they have the best trio in all of college football. And again, when you have a really good quarterback, a really good running back, a really good wide receiver, that could be deadly. So I think Oklahoma State, I think that they have a chance to cause some noise in the Big 12 this year. I really do. Again, I have to look up their schedule, see when they're playing who, when they're playing Texas, Oklahoma, if they're even playing those teams. But again, sleeper-wise, I think Oklahoma State, I think they have a chance to any team has a chance to go undefeated this year, but I think Oklahoma State, if they were to go undefeated, don't be shocked. Don't be shocked by it. They have an amazing offense, and I think they have a chance to get it done. So again, I still have Oklahoma and Texas. I still have them ahead of Oklahoma State, but I'm telling you, man, the Cowboys offense, they're definitely going to be, I think, the most exciting team in the Big 12 this year. I think that's the case because, again, Chuba Hubbard, he's a Heisman contender. Spencer Saunders, he's a great quarterback. And Tylan Wallace, one of the best receivers in the entire country. So sleeper-wise, I like Oklahoma State this year to make some noise. My man Thomas here with the $5 donation. Thomas, I really appreciate it, my man. Blake, do you think the 2020 conference champion will be a legitimate victory that they can pin on their stadiums? Now, this is a great question. I've talked about this with the guys about, what's legit or not, and, should there be asterisks on anything? Whoever wins the national championship this year, there's an asterisk on it. It's going to be a legit championship because you're still going to have to go through the playoff and whatnot, but I won't consider the winner of this year's national championship to be 100% legit. Maybe like 60 to 70%, but there's going to be a fat asterisk on it. Now, in regards to conference championships, I don't think there should be an asterisk on it whatsoever because nothing's really changed. I know it's not the exact schedule that we had initially. There's not going to be fans in the stands, but you're still playing, a lot of these conferences are still playing 9 to 10 conference games. So, whoever wins their conference championship, I think that's 100% legit. I would view it as a real legitimate conference championship if they want to pin that on their stadium. I mean, if Arizona State comes out in the spring, for example, and they win the Pac-12, I got no problem with them next year putting 2020 Pac-12 champion on the stadium because it's legitimate. I think whoever wins their conference championships this year, it is in fact legitimate. So great question, Thomas. I really like that one. Hopefully, I was able to answer your question. Thomas, if you're still watching, drop a comment and let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you think it would be legitimate or not, because I think it is, but I know people have their different opinions, and that's okay. If you're out there, if you don't think anything's legitimate, that's fine. But that's just my 2 cents. A national championship, there's going to be an asterisk next to it, but a conference championship, that's 100% legit. And after what they're having to deal with, even more so to them. Why is Notre Dame always overrated? Now that's a great question. I wish I had my Notre Dame expert Lyle Goldstein, who I do the show with, on. I don't know why Notre Dame's always overrated. Maybe just because whenever they play in big games, whenever they're on the biggest stage, they collapse. They collapse. I mean, what we've seen, in the national championship 7, 8 years ago against Alabama, that was embarrassing. 3 years ago, what happened against Clemson, that was very embarrassing on their part. So I don't think they're necessarily overrated, but they definitely don't live up to expectations. They definitely choke under pressure. So again, overrated. It depends. I know there's a lot of people that hate Notre Dame. I personally don't hate Notre Dame. I got no beef with them, but overrated. It is a tough word, so we'll see. We'll see how they do in the ACC this year. If Notre Dame doesn't do well in the ACC, then I think we can officially call them overrated, because I think their schedule in the ACC is actually easier than their non-conference schedule. Because I mean, I know Notre Dame gets a lot of criticism for not playing in the conference, but they play some tough opponents every year, so I will give them that. But I do think that sorry, my phone's blowing up right now with a bunch of Twitter notifications, so just seeing what that's all about. But why are they overrated? I'm not exactly sure, but we'll see what they do. I mean, if you guys can keep me posted with the Notre Dame Duke score. Sorry, my chair is breaking on me. Keep me posted with Notre Dame Duke scores so I can see how that game's going. Do you like Oreos? I love Oreos. Oreos are the best, but if you're going to have Oreos, they got to be double stuffed, because the regular ones, those are just too thin. I'm not a fan of the other flavors like vanilla Oreos. They have red velvet Oreos. There's birthday cake Oreos. No thanks. Just give me a basic double stuffed Oreo, something like that. Now, this is an interesting one. A lot of people have been asking me. They've been asking me on my YouTube, on my Twitter, all that stuff. When are you going to be doing a Road to Glory on NCAA 14? Well, if you missed the first half of this Q&A, I talked about how tonight on my channel, this is something that's been in the works for a while. At the Harris Highlights Show, we've been setting this up where we're going to be playing each other college football games that were canceled this year. So games that should have been happening, like non-conference games, that were canceled. So tonight we're going to be doing Ohio State versus Oregon. That's going to be at 8 p.m. Eastern. We're going to premiere it live on my channel. In regards to me doing a Road to Glory, I've been talking about this. I've been thinking about it. I'm moving into my own apartment next month. And when I do that, I'm hopefully going to have a good setup where I can play games. Because right now, I mean, I got my TV, I got my Xbox 360, but I don't have a good setup where I can record, playing the games, all that kind of stuff. So hopefully when I move into my new apartment, I'm able to get a pretty good setup. I'm able to do that. So I'm not going to give a date, but hopefully maybe November, December, January, after I'm all settled in, after I get all the equipment, because I want to start doing, weekly. I'm still going to be doing all my regular content here on my channel, but I really want to start doing NCAA 14 videos, again, Road to Glory, just fun matchups, stuff like that. So hopefully, in a few months, I'll be posting NCAA 14 content on my page regularly. But again, if you guys want to tune in just tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, you guys can check out Ohio State versus Oregon in a very thrilling double overtime game. I'm not going to tell you who wins, but again, you guys definitely want to check that out. So that's when that answers your question. Hopefully in the coming months, hopefully by January or February, I'll be posting that on a week-to-week basis. Carter, he wants to know, do you think the Big Ten will actually end up playing this fall? This one I've gone back and forth on. Where, initially they wanted to play in the spring, which I think still is a stupid idea. I don't think they should be playing in the spring. Either have everyone play in the fall or don't play at all. I think having a spring season is awful. I don't like it. It sounds like, from what I've been hearing, especially with Ryan Day, I think he was on, talking about it the other day, it sounds like it's gaining momentum. So I'm not exactly certain. Can we see them playing in the fall? I guess the Pac-12, they had some new COVID breakthrough in regards to testing, where they can test on a day-to-day basis and get their, responses within, an hour or something like that. So, and they talked about potentially playing as early as November. So if the Pac-12 was potentially playing early November or something like that, I think we might be able to see the Big Ten maybe in October. But I mean, that's really going to throw the whole season off, because they're going to be playing from October through January, February. So then all of a sudden the Big Ten teams aren't going to be able to compete for national championships. So at that point, if the big, I mean, essentially for the most part, it's Ohio State. I think Ohio State is probably the best or the second best team in the country. And this is all in regards to them getting them to hopefully the playoff. If you're not able to play in time to get Ohio State, give them a chance to be in the playoff, I don't think it's worth it. Just play it in the spring. Because again, let's say they come back the last week of October. and they're going to be playing. I mean, what, a 10 game schedule? They're going to be playing until end of January. So I don't necessarily understand why. Obviously, I like to see everyone back this fall. I think everyone should be playing this fall, but if you're not going to be playing until end of October, or like with the Pac-12 might be doing like end of November, just hold off. I say start your season in January. I mean, because then at that point we're not going to have college football. But then if we have the Pac-12 and Big Ten from January through March, at least that's something. It's better than nothing. But that is interesting. But I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see. How do you feel about North Carolina? Well, I assume it's because they had a close game over Syracuse. I'm not going to read, too much into these week 1 games because, it's the first game. Who knows how much practice they've had. But North Carolina, I was expecting a little bit more from them against Syracuse. Sam Howell, I know he finished with, I think, nearly 300 yards, but up until the fourth quarter, Sam Howell was not looking good. So I'm not going to get too worried about North Carolina, but I to answer your question, Sam, they definitely worried me a bit. Sam Howell kind of worried me a bit because I think I had Sam Howell actually as my number 2 or number 3 in regards to my Heisman rankings. So definitely not a good week 1 game for them, but they still won. I think they won by double digits, I want to say. So a win's a win. Hopefully they can bounce back and move on and look better for weeks to come. But not impressed, but I'm not going to be too worried. Have you ever been to a college football national championship game? I haven't been to a college football national championship game. I want to go, but I have been to, I think, 3 or 4 different Rose Bowl games. I was at the Rose Bowl a few years back. That was USC Penn State, where it was the game-winning field goal. I was at a Rose Bowl, I want to say 2006, 2007, when SC played Michigan. I think I've been to 2 Rose Bowls when SC played Michigan. Again, I'll have to get like a fact checker to look up those years for me. But whenever SC played Michigan in the Rose Bowl, I was at that game. Do you know that SMU TCU got canceled because of COVID? And it's the TCU players' fault. They kept going outside there for their bubble. Inside source. Yeah, I heard the game got canceled. Didn't know what the cause was, but man, that's the thing. You're going to be seeing games canceled this year because players do stupid things. Players are going to leave the bubble. They're going to go to parties and things are going to happen. So if that's the case, I saw today, I think it was West Virginia, I want to say. Again, I might be wrong on this, but West Virginia had to suspend like 10 or 11 players. And I don't know if that's COVID related, but all of a sudden you're suspending 10, 11 players for whatever reason. Players are going to go to parties. Players are going to be stupid. Players are going to put their team at risk. I don't understand it. If this is the case and TCU players went out, they partied, they did all this stuff, I think their scholarship should be taken away. I mean, you're risking the safety of your teammates and you're having your game canceled because you're an idiot, you're stupid. So we're going to be seeing it. We're going to be seeing it through the end of the college football season. Players are going to be dumb. They're going to go out and we're going to have games that are canceled. And, sadly, there's nothing you can do about it. So hopefully these guys move on. All right. We got Thomas, who came in and said he agrees on the conference champion and natty thoughts. So for those of you that missed it, Thomas pretty much just asked what my thoughts were on, the college or the conference championship being legit or not. Would you consider it a legitimate championship? I do. I would consider it a legitimate championship, and again, a national championship. I'd have an asterisk next to it. I would put an asterisk next to it. What do we got right here? We got so Notre Dame's up 10-6. Okay, Notre Dame's up 10-6. Thank you guys for keeping me updated on the scores. And North Carolina ended up winning by 25 points. So I guess they covered the spread. They ended up looking pretty good. So again, when I checked the score, I think it was like 17-6, if it even was that score. So looks like North Carolina, they were able to pretty much get it going. They were able to really, really get it going. What we got here, we got Cole coming in. Blake, we want to see the bobblehead collection. Also, congrats on 200K. Cole, I know you want to see these bobbleheads. I'll have to send you a photo. So yeah, if you guys can see over here in my background, I have a lot of bobbleheads. I got, I think, about 100. Mostly Dodgers bobbleheads. I have some random. I got a Clippers section like on the top there. I also got some like random bobbleheads down there. But yeah, this bobblehead collection's like my baby. It's like my most prized possession because I mean, I don't know if I got 100 plus bobbleheads. I mean, that collection's probably worth at least thousands of dollars. I mean, there's some bobbleheads here that are worth $100. So yeah, the bobbleheads, those are my babies. And the sad thing is because the Dodgers give out so many bobbleheads every year, I have 100 plus bobbleheads, and there's still about 100 plus that I don't have. So I'm always collecting about once or twice a month. I'm getting some new bobbleheads. So Cole, thanks, my man. Thanks on the congratulatory 200K. You'll be getting there soon, my man. I know you're at 50. I think you're just past 50K a few weeks ago. So 100K, you'll be getting there hopefully by the end of the year. 200K is on the horizon, my man. So keep up the great work. Here we go. This is a fun one from Michael. Two-part question. Are you wearing pants today and boxer briefs or just regular boxers? So yes, I'm wearing pants. Well, shorts. Yeah, I mean, same thing. I can confirm I'm not going, not going boxers today. So we got the pants on, we got the shorts on. It's a boxer kind of day. I'm a boxer kind of guy. Not a huge fan of briefs. So I'm always rocking boxers. Maybe once in a blue moon, I'm rocking briefs, but always for the most part, I'm rocking the boxers. Georgia Tech, Florida State. So it's 7-0. First quarter weather delays. Interesting. So there's no weather. Did you guys see? I don't know what the latest is. I got a notification right before I started that Florida, their football stadium is currently on fire. Again, it was like a Bleacher Report notification that Florida Stadium is on fire. So if there's like anything that's any new information about that, guys, let me know in the chat below as to regards to how their stadium's doing. Because if Florida has their stadium burned down, that's not going to be good. So again, if there's any information, keep me posted on that. Oh, this is fantastic. Mateo wants to know, are the Padres going to take first place from the Dodgers? The Dodgers are only 3.5 games up, on the Padres in the NL West, which is with, I think, 14 games left. It's going to be tough to make up that ground, but the Dodgers and Padres do have a 3-game series coming up this week. So if the Padres sweep that series, all of a sudden they might be in first place. I'm going to give them maybe like a 20% chance to overtake the Dodgers just because it all comes down to that series. If the Padres sweep the Dodgers, there's a very good chance that the Padres can take the division. But if the Dodgers win these next few days, and if they sweep the Padres, if they win 2 of 3, I think it's going to be impossible for the Padres. So, Mateo, if you're a Padres fan, props to you. Good luck. But it's all going to come down to that series this upcoming week. Louisiana Lafayette versus Arkansas State for the national championship. Hey, I'm down. Sign me up for that. I'm down for that national championship. On a scale of 1 to 10, how good of a movie is Air Bud? Oh, I got to be honest. I haven't seen Air Bud, I don't know, 10 years or something. For whatever reason, I can't remember much. I know Air Bud the first Air Bud was the basketball one, right? The first Air Bud was the basketball one. My biggest memory is of the softball one, I think, whatever it was. That's the one I guess I just watched the most when I was a kid. But I liked all the Air Bud movies. The first Air Bud, though, I mean, it's a classic. I don't remember much. I'll give it a 6 out of 10. I'll give it a 6 out of 10. Not the best movie out there, but it was groundbreaking. You got a golden retriever out here dunking balls. So there you go. Michael Collins, when was the last time you went to the gym? Well, unfortunately, the gyms are closed here, so it's been about 2 months since I've been to the gym. However, I do go on 4 to 5 mile runs every day. But however, I haven't gone on a run in about a week because the air quality here is so bad where it's just straight smoke outside. So I go on, like I said, a 4 to 5 mile run every day, but it's been about a week since I've done that. If you were a head coach, what kind of scheme would you run on offense and defense? I've always said this. If I was a head coach, we're running the triple option. That's what we're doing. It's just so old fashioned. And whenever I play NCAA 14, like I'm doing a dynasty right now with Arizona State, but I just only run the triple option. I would just run the triple option just because I think it's really cool. Again, it's old school. I like it, and it would make me different. It would make my team different. So I'd be running the triple option. That's what I'd be doing. So Connor, there you go. Triple option Harris with the coach. Do you think Aaron Rodgers will have a good season considering the not good wide receivers besides Adams? That's tough. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, he's still a really good quarterback. He's had a few down years. The Packers, I don't know what they were doing by not drafting more wide receivers for him. I mean, Devontae Adams is easily top 3, top 4 wide receiver in football. And the fact that besides him, if Devontae Adams goes down, Allen Lazard is the next best option, who's not bad. But if Devontae Adams goes down at any point, Aaron Rodgers is screwed. I think with Devonta Adams, he can still put up some pretty decent numbers. I think he'll have a good season, but I think Aaron Rodgers, I mean, top 10, I don't even know if he's going to be top 10. Like, I don't even know if he's a top 10 quarterback anymore. I mean, what he's been doing, the last few years, he's still good, but I just think that he might be, if he's anywhere, I'd rank him from like the 7 to 12 range. We're just gonna have to wait and see how he does this year. But yeah, if Devonta Adams goes down, he he is absolutely screwed this year. Thoughts on the bubble stadiums in the MLB? Personally, I don't like it. I don't like the fact that the Dodgers are going to be playing the playoffs not at Dodger Stadium. I get why they want to make the bubble. It makes sense. But with the exception of the Marlins, who had an outbreak, the Cardinals, who had an outbreak because supposedly those players were stupid, those players were idiots. It's been fine. Like, the MLB's been fine. There's been a few cases here or there where just one player's gotten it. But again, they want to get through the season. They want it to happen. But if the Dodgers are playing the World Series in Texas, not against a Texas team, uh, all right, we're back. I guess we're still going. So for those of you that watch my shows on a week to week basis, you know that the Wi-Fi in my house is absolutely awful. The Wi-Fi blows, and from time to time, the Wi-Fi connection goes out. So the Wi-Fi just went out. I'm using the hotspot on my phone. So we're back. We're back, and I'm using the personal hotspot on my phone. So I don't know at what point my connection went out. So Michael, hopefully I was able to answer your question there. Eli wants to know, how are you enjoying your first full college football Sunday? It sucks. I mean, it doesn't feel like a regular college football Sunday. I know college game day is still on, but it just doesn't feel like a regular college football Sunday, which it's a drag. I'm glad we do have games in some form, but college game day is not the same. These games aren't the same. So again, I'm grateful. I'm glad that they're back, but it's just not the same. And also, he says apparently the fires put out and was caused by a golf cart. So interesting. Interesting right there. Now I'm getting to all the comments pretty much saying what happened to Blake, where'd he go, all that kind of stuff right there. So yeah, we're back. We're back. You probably have about 5 or 10 minutes. So again, if you're just joining right now, I'm answering your guys' questions. You guys can leave comments down below. If you guys have a question you really want answered, again, you can donate $1 or $2 to the super chat. Really helps the channel, and this way your question comes up in a cool color, and that way I'm able to answer it. So again, we probably have 5-10 minutes left. So let's try to knock out as many as we possibly can. The stop sign. What do you think about Iowa State and Kansas State losing today? And this is I think the first question I got earlier, so maybe you missed at the beginning. I'm not shocked by Kansas State because I'm not high on them for the year. I didn't think they were going to be that good, and Arkansas State's not a slouch of a team, and they only lost by 4 points. However, I am shocked about Iowa State losing by 14, 15, 16, 17 points to Louisiana. I was shocked by that. Brock Purdy looked awful. Brock Purdy really looked bad out there. So not shocked by Kansas State, but I was shocked by Iowa State. If you could have anyone in all of college football right now to run the triple offense, who would be your quarterback, running back, and wide receiver one? That's a good question. I'm trying to think of who probably like the fastest. I'm trying to think of like the fastest quarterback, fastest running back, fastest wide receiver would be, and what exactly you could do with that. I mean, Tutu Atwell. I mean, out of Louisville, I know he's super fast. I'd probably use him. Running back wise, maybe like a Travis Etienne or Chuba Hubbard, just because they're the best running back out there. Quarterback, I'm going to stick with Jaden Daniels. I'm going to stick with my man, Jaden Daniels at Arizona State. So we're going to go with Jaden Daniels, Travis Etienne, and Tutu Atwell. That's who we're going to be running the triple option with. What we got here? Who do you think can go winless this year? That's a tough one. I have to go back and look at who I had for my conference record predictions. There were some teams. Oh, I could tell you who it was. Arkansas. I had Arkansas going winless this year. I'm just going to pull up their schedule really quick because there's no chance Arkansas wins a game in 2020 this year. There's no chance. So they start the season at Georgia. That's a loss. At Mississippi State, that's likely a loss. At Auburn, loss. Ole Miss, likely a loss. At Texas A&M, that's a loss. Tennessee, loss. At Florida, loss. LSU, loss. At Missouri, that could be Arkansas's chance to win a game at Missouri, even though I think Missouri is going to be, I don't know, a 4 or 5 win team. And they close the year then against Alabama. So, yeah, Arkansas. I think the only chance Arkansas has is against Missouri and then maybe Ole Miss, Mississippi State. But even then, those 3 teams are the better teams. So, again, if you have any chance of any team going winless, especially Power 5 wise, Group of 5, I haven't looked in depth on that. I haven't done too much research, but Power 5 wise, I'm going to go with Arkansas. I think there's no chance they win more than 2 games. I think 2 games at the absolute max. 1 game most likely, but 0 games. That's what I'm going to go with in regards to that. Do you have an Instagram? Yes, Cole, I do have an Instagram. For those of you that have an Instagram that want to follow me, I think I've posted like once in the last 2 years. I don't really post much on Instagram anymore, but if you still want to follow me, at Blake H. Harris. So it's the same as my Twitter handle. Hang it over there. You guys can give me a follow at Blake H. Harris if you want to follow me right there. Let's see what I got right here. Oh, short round. Where have you been? We're like 45 minutes in short round, and you're coming in now with the questions, but better now than not missing the whole thing, right? What is the best sound in sports? The crack of the bat, the swish of the net, a bone crunching tackle. So I'm going to take the swish of the net out of it. No. This is tough though, because I love baseball. Baseball is my favorite sport. I've always loved baseball. I played baseball growing up for 15 years. When there's a really good home run, really good hit, the sound, the crack of the bat, there's nothing better than that sound. If you do have a bone crunching tackle, as I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, when someone asked, what was the hardest hit I've ever seen in person? It was some ASU play from a few years back when I was in the student section in the first row right behind the end zone, and it was like on the 10-yard line. So I was 20 yards from it or so. And the sound of that was like, you could hear it clearly. But the crack of the bat, again, when there's a solid connection and it's like a home run, that sound, it's the best sound. So there's mine right there. Who will pop off this year? Now that's tough. I'm trying to think of pop off because what's your definition of pop off? Is popping off like a team that you're not expecting to do well that all of a sudden comes out and they're like competing for the conference championship? Pop off, is it like Oklahoma, who is winning every game by 50 points? So pop off. I mean, I talked about Oklahoma State being like a sleeper, so I think they can pop off and do some damage in the Big 12. Maybe like Tennessee. I think Tennessee, I really liked how they finished the year last year. I mean, they're in the SEC, so that's tough as it is, but I would be shocked if Tennessee goes like 7-3, something like that. Again, if that's how you define pop off. 3D Flakes, you can comment. What do you mean by pop off? Maybe that'll help me answer your question better. But I'm going to go with Oklahoma State and Tennessee. Who wins the Pac-12 this year? I got Oregon as the favorite. I think Oregon by far is the best team. But if it's not going to be Oregon, I think it's going to be either. I mean, the Pac-12 South is going to be tough. The Pac-12 South is going to be tough. I like USC. I like Arizona State. I think Oregon is in a class of their own in the North. Maybe Utah can compete or something like that. But I got Oregon at 1, USC at 2, and I got Arizona State at 3. I think those are the only 3 teams. I mean, maybe Utah. Like I'll throw in Utah as my 4th just because, they're always good every year, but I think they got worse. But I got Oregon at 1, SC at 2, and I got Arizona State at 3. Becca wants to know, who is the most underrated team this year? That's a good question. The most underrated team. I mean, I'm trying to think. I've talked a lot about them. Oklahoma State. I think they have a chance to win 9 games, compete for the conference. I'm just trying to think conference by conference, but it's really tough to do. So I'm trying to think. I like in the ACC, I like North Carolina. I don't know if that's really considered a sleeper because they have high expectations. They're ranked. I like Louisville. I think Louisville, I think they have a chance to not necessarily make a push at the ACC title game, but I could see Louisville going 7-3, 8, or they're playing 11 games, I think, right? So I could see them going 8-3, 7-4, something like that. So those are the teams I like. It's tough because had the Big Ten been playing, had the Pac-12 been playing, I'd have underrated teams for them, but spring season, that's not going to happen probably. You're a 5-star recruit. You can play any position, go to any college in the nation. What position are you playing in for what team? Maybe this is just biased because 1, I've seen it growing up, and 2, I've actually visited the campus and I've seen all the facilities. Oregon. I've been to Oregon 3 times. I mean, my girlfriend went there, so I went and visited her a few times at Oregon. You hear about these Oregon facilities and how they're, state of the art and everything. I can personally confirm that what Oregon has there on campus is unbelievable. Like, this is why they're able to recruit so well. The facilities they have, the practice facilities, they have just these like nice study hall buildings where they can go and study. Everything is top of the art there. Everything is super nice. So Oregon, that's exactly where I would go. Position, I mean, you got to play quarterback. Like, you got to play quarterback, right? Like, that's what it's got to be. Or I could just be the greatest kicker that's ever played college football, and I'd play kicker. But I mean, if I could choose, I'm gonna be going to Oregon, and I'm gonna be playing quarterback. I see Grant here. Grant saying stop ignoring me, but Grant, I don't see any questions. So whatever your question is, Grant, shoot it back to me so that way I can find it because there's a lot of questions that are coming in. Harrison's favorite says hi. How's it going, Harrison? How's it going, my man? Caesar, will Army finish in the top 25 this year? All right, give me a second so I can look up Army's schedule for 2020. Let's see what we got here. So they're already 2-0. They got BYU, Cincinnati, Abilene Christian, the Citadel, UTSA, Mercer, Air Force, Tulane, Georgia Southern, Navy. I think Army, they'll be top 25. It's going to be a tough matchup against BYU. Maybe I didn't hear something right, but did that Army BYU game get canceled, or was that another game I'm thinking of that got canceled? So if they can beat BYU, they're going to go on a nice little stretch. That Cincinnati game is going to be tough. I think they lose to Cincinnati, but they can pull up 4 wins in a row against Abilene Christian, the Citadel, UTSA, Mercer. So I think Army, I think they will finish in the top 25 this year, especially considering, again, they don't really, aside from Cincinnati and BYU, they don't have any really any tough matchups on their schedule. Here we go, Grant. We got to come in right now. Top 5 games in college football. Man, this would have been a fun one had we had all those non-conference games to talk about and to have fun with. But in regards to top 5 games in college football, I'm going to go with, I think, Alabama, Georgia. That's got to be number 1. I mean, that right there could be a national championship game. I think Clemson, Notre Dame, that's going to be a fantastic one. Oklahoma and Texas, that's going to be great. I'm going to go Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, just because I think Oklahoma State has a chance to win the Big 12. I'm trying to think of ACC games. Does North Carolina I mean, again, I don't have the schedule up. Does North Carolina play Clemson this year in the regular season? I think that's going to be a great rematch after last year's game. And another one, I think Florida Georgia. Florida Georgia is going to be going because I think in order for Florida to get to the SEC title game, they're going to have to beat Georgia. So it's all going to come down to that game. So I'm going to go with Florida Georgia. So I just say 5 games? Maybe it was 4, maybe it was 6, but those are the games that I'm looking forward to the most. Oklahoma, Texas. What's your pick? I got Texas as of right now. I got Texas as of right now. Do you think Clemson will stay ranked number 1 all year? I do. I don't think Clemson's going to lose at any point all year. I think if they're going to lose, it's going to be in the national championship to Alabama. But if they're playing any team other than Alabama, I just can't see Clemson losing. This team is so good. I think this might be the best Clemson team they've ever had. So I think the only team that has a chance against Clemson, again, unless Trevor Lawrence gets hurt, unless there's an injury to Travis Etienne, it's tough to see any team beating Clemson. So I'm going to go with Alabama as the only team to beat them. But yeah, I got Clemson. They're not going to lose that number 1 ranked spot unless something happens against Notre Dame, North Carolina, something like that. This is going from Jake Does Sports. Are you going to continue to do the Harris Highlights show in the future? So initially, what the plan was back when we were doing the show at ASU, when we were doing the show in the studio, if you guys have been watching for that long, we used to do the show in the studio, but now we do it remotely. The plan was that once we ended in May, when we graduated, the show was going to end. Like, that's when the show was going to end. We were going to go our separate ways and whatnot. But after they shut down the studio and we, quarantined and went back home, we still were doing some live shows in, like March and April and May and whatnot. And we've just continued to do them on a week-to-week basis. I mean, with essentially no college football, this whole offseason, we've been doing shows on a week-to-week basis. And ideally, the dream is the Harris Highlights show. I mean, it does fairly well. Each episode gets 3, 4, 5,000 views, something like that. Last year during the regular season, each episode got like 10,000 views. It does pretty well on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. But for me, I have, my professional job with SB Nation. I do YouTube where I'm able to get money from that. So I'm chilling. But, the guys, we get donations, during the show. Connor, Lucas, they really help support the channel. They help support the show by donating. And we split the money, 4 ways. But, for the most part, we set up a Patreon page. The guys do this on a week-to-week basis. And they're maybe get, $5-10 an episode, like from that. So obviously they can't do this, full-time or anything moving forward. So, I mean, if the show was able to get big enough where that could be like a full-time thing for all of us, where we each made enough money doing that, ideally that would be fantastic. Again, that's getting a lot of Patreon members, that's getting advertisements, that's having you guys support the show every week. I mean, we have like again 3,000-4,000 people that watch the show every week. If all those people every week just donated $1, we'd be making like 20-30 grand a month just from doing the show. Then we could do that full time. So again, ideally that'd be fantastic. We love doing the show. We love interacting with you guys. We love doing all that stuff. But these guys, it's a tough job market out there right now. We're all in the sports journalism industry. I was just fortunate enough to get a job right out of college. They're struggling to find jobs. And again, they're just doing this in their free time. But the day is going to come when they all get full-time jobs doing play-by-play, getting, doing studio host and stuff, whatever they want to do. And we're probably not going to be able to continue. I mean, maybe our schedules will align and we can figure out a day a week where we can still do the show remotely like this. Because again, we all love doing it. We love talking college football. We've been doing the show now for, this is going to be our 5th season. We started this back in, the fall of 2016. So we've been doing the show for a while. We love doing it. So I would love more than anything to continue to do the show as long as possible. At least for this season, we're still probably able to do it on a week-to-week basis. But again, once these guys get full-time jobs, not exactly sure how long we can continue. So I'm not saying, because we were anticipating last year to be our last season. In January, we were promoting it to be our last season because we weren't expecting to continuously do it. But we're still grateful that we get to do it again. We appreciate everyone that tunes in, that supports. And if you don't even know what I'm talking about, every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, live on my channel, we do the Harris Highlights Show, a college football podcast. You guys can go over to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, search the Harris Highlights Show, and you guys can listen to there. It's a great show. It's an hour and a half every week. We talk college football, break down games, the latest news, a whole bunch of stuff. So again, hopefully, I mean, the dream situation is we can do that show full time. We can do it like it's a daily show where we're on like Sirius radio somewhere, or we can like pick up a show where we can have a bigger audience like on YouTube. But again, if that can happen, we're just grateful that we were able to get 4-5 years out of this. But definitely we're definitely going to finish this college football season, and then we're gonna see how it goes from there. But yeah, again, if you haven't already, guys, go watch the Harris Highlight Show. It's an absolutely great time. And yeah, it was just I absolutely love doing it. All right, we got a lot of questions coming in right now. Come on, boys, contribute to the show. Dane Daniels, by the way, Dane Daniels, you just became a Patreon supporter, so thank you so much. Shoot me a DM on Twitter if you have one. If you don't have a Twitter, I'll be reaching out to you via Patreon and talking about how we can get those benefits set up. So again, if you guys want to help support the channel, help me continue to do this on a week-to-week basis, help support the show, you guys can donate to Patreon. The link is in the description below. A lot of great benefits. So Dane, he's going to be getting to like choose a video I do in the future. He'll be be able to get like a weekly or a monthly Q&A session. So again, if you guys want to help the channel out and receive some awesome benefits that really, you can interact with me, interact with the guys on the show, you guys can do that. So the link for that is in the description below. Go check it out. But yeah, Dane, shoot me a message on Twitter so we can start talking and figure out how we can get you involved. Here we go. From Football Man, here we go. What are your thoughts on Sam Howell? I'm high on Sam Howell. I got him, I think, like I said, is my number 2 or number 3 in regards to the Heisman. I think this guy next year could potentially be of number 1, number 2 overall pick in the NFL draft. This guy was a stud last year. I think he's easily a top 5 quarterback in all of college football. Didn't look good today. Didn't look that good, but again, it was only week 1. Let's see. We got how about we go? Let's see. I got 5 minutes. We'll just go 5 more minutes, and then we'll just cap it at an hour. So again, if you guys have any questions, you guys can leave them all in the live chat below, and I'll try to answer them quickly as I can. Zachary, for your top 3 quarterbacks in the next draft in order, what do you think about the Marshall quarterback? Do you think he could win the Heisman? Funny enough, Josh was actually trying to pitch for his Heisman campaign on our last show. He's his current Heisman favorite. So stranger things have happened. He very well could win the Heisman Trophy this year. But my top 3 quarterbacks in the draft: Trevor Lawrence, number 1. That's easy. Number 2, Justin Fields. I know it's chalk, but I think those are the 2 best. Number 3, I got Trey Lance. I think Trey Lance, I think he's the real deal. I get he went to North Dakota State, but I think this guy is the real deal. Reggie Bush put Oklahoma State at 4 at the end of the season. Do you think he's right about that? Well, if he has Oklahoma State at 4 overall, like in the playoffs, was it playoffs or in the Big 12? Because I wouldn't be shocked for either. I wouldn't be shocked if Oklahoma State finishes number 12 or number 4 in the Big 12 at the end of the year. But I wouldn't be shocked if they finish number 4 and they're like one of the playoff teams. So I think he could be right about that. Again, I said Oklahoma State. I have them as a sleeper. Can you do an office tour at your work? So I work for SB Nation, but my office is remote. So my office is my bedroom. So I mean, sorry, there's like a plane, there's like a chopper going overhead that's going to dump water on the mountains over there, so it's kind of loud. But I mean, we got a bunch of bobbleheads over there, a bunch of cups from when I went to stadiums. We got a bunch of autographs. I can't even know where to turn. A bunch of autographs over here. I got like a Reggie Bush signed ball, Pete Carroll signed ball. So maybe in a while, if people actually want to see like a room tour, I can do a room tour about that. Notre Dame just scored and they lead 17-6. Well, that's unfortunate. I wanted to see a potential upset right there. All right, we got a few minutes left, so let's get those final questions in. Who do you think will win the Super Bowl this year? Well, I'm a Saints fan. I'm a diehard New Orleans Saints fan. They should have won the Super Bowl last year, but as always, something happens in the playoffs. Luckily, they didn't get too screwed this past year. They just lost to the Vikings. I like the Saints in the NFC. And in the AFC, it's tough to pick against the Chiefs just because they've already done it. I like, if anyone's going to beat the Chiefs, it's going to be the Ravens with Lamar Jackson, but I'm going to go with the Chiefs. I'm going to go with them making the Super Bowl again, and I'm going to go with the Saints over the Chiefs. Drew Brees wins the Super Bowl. He wins Super Bowl MVP, and Drew Brees retires following that game. So let's see what we got here. We got enough time for a few more questions. Who's your favorite non-Power 5 football player? Oh, that is That is a tough one. I'm going to go with Jared Patterson out of Buffalo just because he's personally reached out to me the last 2 years and asked for a highlight video. He's a really nice guy, and he's one of the more underrated running backs in all of college football. So that'd be pretty cool. Or I like him. He's a nice guy. So I'm going to go with Jared Patterson in regards to that one. Go Knowles. You watching the Florida State game, Blake? I am not. So if something's happening in the Florida State game, let me know if there's something I missed. I think we're going to wrap things up. We got one final question here from Eric P. He wants to know pretty much what I do. So, do you work for the main SB Nation or one of their college or NFL subdivisions? So, with SB Nation, back in December, they passed this law in California, which essentially means that you can't write for the site for free in California because it had something to do with like Uber and Lyft drivers where they were getting screwed by how much money they were getting paid. So they set up this new job for people in California to cover the California team. So essentially, for those of you that follow SB Nation at all or their websites, so like for example, the MLB, NBA, they'll have their separate, team accounts, like for the Dodgers, Clippers, Lakers, that kind of stuff. They have 25 different team sites for all those teams. And before this new rule went into effect, each site had 8 to 10 people contributing, making a couple $100 a month. Like I was doing that for the Dodgers site. I was making $600 a month, which was not even what my rent was. So I was barely getting paid. I was definitely not getting what I should have been getting. Then they announced this new job position where essentially they were going to be bringing in 20 to 25 people to cover all 25 California teams. So it's officially not the main SB Nation page. However, I do post articles onto the main SB Nation page, should they be like relevant in regards to whatever's happening. Like the whole Joe Kelly thing with the Dodgers happened a month ago with the Astros, like one of my articles made it to the front page. So essentially my job is I cover the Dodgers, I cover the Angels, I cover the Clippers, I cover the Raiders, even though they're not in California anymore. And essentially those are my 4 teams where every day I'm having to write articles, do coverage on those 4 teams. If, COVID wasn't happening, I'd be going to Dodger Stadium to cover the games. I'd be going to, Staples Center to cover the Clippers, to cover the Lakers games. So it's a really cool job. I really enjoy it. I know it's kind of random. I haven't made a video really talking about that, but I actually have like a pretty good full-time job. Maybe I'll make a video, in the coming weeks if people are interested to hear more about it. But yeah, my official job for SB Nation is my official title is a California Communities Editor, where again, I cover Clippers, Dodgers, Angels, Raiders, and anything else that's needed. So some college football coverage if that's needed, some other coverage if that's needed. So that's exactly what my job is. So yeah, if you're interested in that, you can shoot me a DM, Eric. We can talk more about that, or I can make a video where I again talk about what exactly I do working and writing for SB Nation, because it's a fun time. I enjoy working for SB Nation. Not a bad first job out of college, but yeah, guys, that does officially wrap up this Q&A. Sorry, I was going to like burp or something. We've been going for an hour, 3 minutes. So for everyone that tuned in, thank you guys so much. This was a lot of fun. I do want to start doing more videos like this in the future, or I can do like live Q&A, something like that. So if you guys enjoyed this, if you guys enjoyed me doing a live Q&A, you guys can drop a comment on this video when it's done saying, yeah, we enjoyed this. We want to see more of it. And yeah, because like I said, I want to be more interactive with you. Tonight, guys, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, I am going to be posting it's going to be premiere, NCAA 14, Oregon versus Ohio State. It's part of the Harris Highlight Show. We're really looking forward to this. So if you guys want to tune in, we're going to have the live chat open so you guys can actually, talk amongst everyone right there. And if there's a game that you guys want to see, if there was a college football game that we're not getting this year, like, Oregon, Ohio State, for example, you guys can leave a comment in the chat. You guys can donate in the super chat. What we're going to be doing is essentially for every dollar you donate, that's one entry you get into deciding the next game we do. So again, if you want to see Texas LSU, for example, next week, if you just donate $1, you get one entry, into that. And if, you want to donate $5, you get 5 entries into doing that. So not only, again, are you helping decide what the next one you want to see is, you're helping the Harris Highlight Show out. You're really supporting us because, again, like I said, it's ideally something we'd like to do full-time, to make a full-time show. And if just 1,000 people a month, that watch the show were to donate $1 a month, we'd be able to do this full-time. We'd be able to have a full-time college football show. So again, we're not asking you guys to donate any money, but again, you'd be surprised how far $1, how far $2 goes to doing that. So again, if you're interested in doing that, checking it out tonight, You guys can tune in 8 p.m. Eastern, live right here on my channel. Again, thank you to everyone so much for watching. Thank you for helping me reach 200,000 subscribers. You guys are awesome. You guys are the best. I really appreciate it. You guys are the best. But yeah, guys, hopefully we'll see you tonight. We'll catch a brand new episode of the Harris Highlight Show next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. We'll be talking about the latest college football news. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Follow me on Twitter at Blake H. Harris. You guys can just shoot me a message and we can talk some college football. I love interacting with you guys. So if you haven't already, follow me on Twitter at Blake H. Harris. Thank you guys again so much for watching. This was a lot of fun. And I'll be seeing you guys